First of all, good morning, everybody. We're going to do a very, very simple talk today. And the best way to talk about wine is with a glass of wine in your hands. Someone told me that the wine must speak by itself. If you start to talk about wine, something is wrong with the wine because you try to say, well, that's that. So no, the only thing that we're going to do is a little history about Mexican wine industry. Mexican wine industry is something that happened when the Spanish arrived to America. So we cannot change that part of the history. Mexico has grapes because the Spanish arrived in America more than 500 years ago. And it's very interesting because even if the Mexico and the Mexican wine industry has been for more than 500 years ago, now we are living a new generation, a new opportunity of the Mexican wine industry. 300 years of conquest and evangelization, vineyards were planted all around Mexico. I mean, we have vineyards from close to Veracruz, that is a very tropical area, to the north part of Mexico, that is Baja California. Actually, the vineyards arrived until the area that probably you know, Napa Valley, that is Sonoma. The last mission was Fernando Solano, and was the last influence of the Spanish people in the vineyards in America. Mexico has the people say that it's considered the oldest winery in America. So we have this honor. It's called Casa Madero, and it started in that date, and is still working. That was the vinification more than 100 years ago. So that's the proof that we made wine for many, many, many years. Now we are in the 21st century, and it's a completely different history. Mexico now is considered like a new world wine industry. Even if we have 500 years, we are more in this new generation, in this new way to make wine. We have a lot of influence of different countries, particularly California, but also France, Spain, Italy, and other countries like Australia or even Chile. There is two regions in Mexico, big regions, or big sizes of Mexico in terms of the vineyards. The vineyards that we call high altitude, that are more than close to 2,000 meters above sea level, and it's Coahuila, Zacatecas, Aguascalientes, Querétaro is the main line of Mexico. You can see is the central part of Mexico. Mexico is a very big country, a huge country. You have 5,000 kilometers from Baja California, that is in your left, and Cancun, that is in your right. So it's 5,000 kilometers distance between those 2 points, those two borders. And we have these vineyards that are very particular because are high altitude vineyards. And also we have the Mediterranean vineyards, and is the region that we come from, is Baja California. And people always think that Mexico is very hot, very tropical, and it's not necessarily true. We are in the 32 latitudes north. If you spread that to the south, we are exactly in the Chilean area, no? In Santiago de Chile area. It's exactly the same latitude, but at the north. Also, we have a very, very cold ocean. That's the reason that we have a very good seafood at the area. And that's particularly the thing that gives us this absolutely amazing weather, amazing terroir to make wine. Mexican wine industry is not very big. We have about 8,000 hectares. And it's very interesting because in the 80s was 55,000 hectares. So we really lose 5 times the vineyards. But now it's a new generation with 150 new producers. Those new producers are first generation, and it's probably the most interesting thing about the Mexican wine industry. So that means that everybody like me, we believe that we are making the best wine of the world. We believe that. So the energy that you can find in the Mexican wine is very, very interesting. There is more than 500 labels, and our production is about 30 million bottles a year. We don't have appellation. Then for some people it's probably something that is not good. We believe that we are living the best moment because we don't have rules. And when you don't have rules, you have a lot to do, a lot to think, a lot to explain. Baja California, of course, is the main region. We have in Baja California, again, is the north part of Mexico, those valleys, no? Guadalupe Valley, San Antonio Las Minas Valley, Ojos Negros, San Vicente, Santo Tomas, and also Tecate. So most of the production of Mexican wine is in the north part of Mexico. We produce like 90% of the wines that are in this region. But it's very interesting because now there is a very good moment in terms of the wine industry. So people are growing and growing in the middle part in the high altitude vineyards. But until today, the best region, the most important region is Baja California. So that's a map from Baja California. There's the border with California, with San Diego, and you have the first valley, and it's Valle de Guadalupe, then San Antonio Las Minas, and going south, Santo Tomas and San Vicente. So we are all the Pacific coast. The influence of the grapes and the influence of the different countries. Today you are tasting wine called Clandestino. I don't know if you know Banksy. Okay, that's Banksy label. And basically it's a Chenin Blanc, So it's very interesting because when we go to different countries with different areas, with different customers, they ask us which is the grape that represents Mexico. And it's like I say, which is the food that represents Mexico? Or who represents Mexico, actually, you know? So that's very interesting. The wine is like this. We have different areas, different influence, no? That's the typical white grapes that we have. Chardonnay, Sauvignon, Chenin Blanc, Colombard, and Viognier. Is probably enough for a region, no? But when you're gonna see the rest, is a very, very interesting history. We have all that. So we have the Bordeaux influence with the 5 grapes of Bordeaux that have been there since the middle of the 60s. We have the Spanish influence with Tempranillo, Garnacha, and Carignan. But also we have a very important influence from the Piemonte, from the Italy, with the Barbera Nebbiolo. And now, more and more, the Rhone influence with Syrah, Petit Syrah, Mourvèdre, Cinsault, and other, like Zinfandel, that is, for some people, Italy, for some people, East Europe. So to me, that's the thing that I would like to communicate. It's probably the most interesting moment to taste Mexican wines, because in a quite a small industry, you're going to have a very, very creative, a lot of different products, a lot of different ideas without rules that makes we are producing wine from inside to outside. We are not follow a market. We are follow our dreams, and we try to share with you. That's basically the way to taste Mexican wines. So that's the point. Of course, the terroir is important because we have a land, we have a weather, we have the typical conditions of grape. But you're gonna taste more the Mexican culture, the Mexican mosaic. When people ask me, how do you describe Mexican wine? You say that's like a walk in a market, no? The colors, no? And looks like it's probably too much color, no? But when you go slowly, you start to make the difference between the tomatoes, the avocados, the things like that. And then you go more, and you see that it's big tomatoes, small tomatoes, and you go, so it looks like it's too much, but if you do it slowly, you're gonna find very, very interesting things about Mexican wines. So I think, to me, that's the way to describe Mexican wine. Color, force, structure, and mestizaje, no? I think the wine represents the most important movement about migration. Thank you very much. So we're going to taste the red. And it's a Grenache. We try to put two different things, French grape and Spanish grape. So I hope you enjoyed the red. I hope you enjoyed the white also.
So in contrast with that, I mean, did you compare this wine with the, let's say, classical European Sauvignon Blanc? What is the difference?
Yeah, the difference in this Chenin Blanc compared with the classic European that will be the area of La Loire, Bourbon, we have a Chenin Blanc that has much more yeast flavors, less bitterness, and we try to make like a more formal, creamy wine. No? So we like wines that has this body, that's his capacity to be with quite strong food. No?
The sedimentation of the grapes use these different elements, as I understand, like glycerin or other things. What do you use normally?
Well, that's very interesting. The sedimentation of the juice in this wine is natural. So there is now in fashion, no, everything needs to be organic, everything needs to be clean, everything to be, etc., etc. But that's clean, organic, and we don't use anything. The only thing that you need to have this cleanness in your wine is weight. No? If you wait and you have cold temperature in your winery, you can clean the juice perfectly and make a wine like this. So we don't use anything in that.
And for the red one, do you store like in particular vinicolas or wood, special wood? So it's
well, yes. Now, like the other different regions, wine is made also with barrels. No? We work with French and American barrels, but the idea of the barrel is more like make the scenario of the wine. You must have the fruit in front, the grape in front, and the wood should play with the rest of the flavors. No?
So your winery, in comparison with the rest of the other wineries, is a small one, is a medium, is a large one?
Yes, the interesting thing about the Mexican movement is 90% of the wineries produce less than 25,000 bottles a year. So all the wineries are very, very small. All the wineries are like a family size. So it's very, very interesting. You have 3 big wineries and the rest are small wineries. No? Yes.
Can I find this wine here?
I hope so. Well, that's the idea, no? That's the idea, to start to bring the Mexican wines to the British market. Until today, you're only gonna find here, so please drink. Sí, sí, la parte especial. Pure, ¿no? Yeah. Yes, the labels try to. Wine is not just wine. No? You have a lot of elements that you can use with the wine. And when it's probably the most difficult thing for a winemaker is not make the wine, is probably put the name of the wine and put a label in. No? So in this case, the name of the wine was Clandestino, and to me, Bansi represents perfectly that part. No? And we change the labels for this project every year. And of course, with him, we have many, many different opportunities to. No? Sure. That's a little strong, but. Yes, we have a project called Contraste, and means it's very interesting because we make a wine between two countries. Now we believe that there is no borders, so we have a project that we call troposphera. You know what troposphera is? Is this part of the atmosphere that the life is. No? So it's about 8,000 meters around the atmosphere. So we mix wines from different countries. And so you have a wine without appellation or without borders. And in this project, we use the name of Contraste, because even if you put two wines together, there is a kind of contrast in between. And then we use photographs and Mexican artists.
Sorry.
You have wine here. It's 100% Grenache. It's called clandestino. Gracias. Pues es como una parte como especiada, como canelosa, vainillosa, ¿no? You want I take the white for you, or that's fine? Yeah. Vinito aquí. ¿No? Salud. Well, thank you very much. Cheers, and thank you for being here.